Hello everybody, it's Budrich. It's a new episode of Let's Linux. I call this edit the i3 config from rofi, and we will continue to create this rofi menu that is able to execute commands from our key or i3 config file. And it's also a good way to see which key binding is bound to each command here. For example, if I select this i3 term uFloat term, that is this window, that will toggle that window. For example, if you haven't watched the previous video, I really recommend you doing so, because this will just be pure confusion if you haven't. Because we will just keep on working on our, because in that video we started building this menu from scratch. We can look at what we got so far. It looks like this. So you can see it's very similar. But one difference is that in the menu I showed you a couple of seconds ago, the key combinations had a different color than the command. So that's one thing we're going to do in this video. Another thing I hope that we can do, or we will make it, is the ability to have two different menus. I want to be able to launch it with an E option, so we can go into edit mode, and then instead of launching a command, we will edit that line inside the config file. So you can very fast change or remove key combinations and stuff like that. This is the script that we were working on in the last video, and it's not super long, this script, but it's getting a bit complicated, and I think we should refactor it before we do anything else and put our functionality inside functions. So first we create a function here for the parsing. Parse config is one name we could give that, and I like to indent my functions, so I do that, and we have to close it here, and then we have this part here which displays the menu. We can call that display menu. Let's just call it display menu, whatever. It's like always the same thing, you know, with names. It's no big deal to change it later. Now our whole script is inside functions, everything except this declaration of this array, because I want to have that at a higher level than inside the function, to be sure that we can use this array in our other functions, which we are doing here, for example. Now I am not using subshells at all, so it doesn't really matter that much, but whatever. I'm getting ahead of myself a bit here now. If we execute the command now, we get nothing, because all the script does now is declare this variable, and then it reads the file here and it see, oh, parse config, that's a function, and it actually reads the function and just store the function itself in memory, but it never executes it. And the same with this. If we wanted to execute, first we want to execute the parse config here, then we just call that by writing parse config. But this doesn't work, because in bash you cannot execute a function before it is declared. So we have to put this after the declaration of the config. For example, either here we can put it, or at the bottom here is also okay. And then we could, if we run the script now, it will take longer time, because now it actually parses the config, but it doesn't display the menu. We could also add that here, display menu, and now the script works as before. But I don't like this to have like the main functionality of the script at the bottom, so we could do something like this, create a main function and put these two guys in that. and move this main function to the top of the script, but first, and then just call this main function at the bottom after all other functions are declared. And now we should get the same results again, and now we have a nice script here with what we actually execute at the top of the script. And I like to have it like this. You might have a different way, but I like it like this. And as I said, I want this declare to be at a high level outside of the functions. We could actually put it inside the main function, and it would be almost as global as having it outside of the main function. I think this is actually cleaner. Okay. I think we can start with the colorization of the menu. And let's comment these guys out, and then I will just demo a bit here in the main function. To add different colors to the rofi elements, menu elements in rofi, we will use something that is called Pango Markup. And it looks like this. It looks and works very, very similar to HTML. It's even the same name here for this tag, span, and it works just like spans in HTML. But it doesn't have all the arguments and attributes that HTML have. I will try to find a link and link it in the show notes with the documentation to Pango Markup, but basically you can change colors like this and like font attributes. That's more or less all you can do, but that's pretty cool to be able to do that. And you can also, I think i3 supports this, so you could actually add this Pango Markup to titles and stuff, but that's another video, I guess. Let's do this. If I just echo this here, and then we can do hello world. Then let's put this in single quotes. Execute this, and now since we are this is all that is in our main function is this echo with this Pango Markup string here. It doesn't do anything. We can pipe this to rofi the menu, and then we get this. We get this string in rofi as expected, but if we add this option, markup-rows, then it will parse this Pango Markup, and we will get a result that looks like this instead. So it's pretty simple. And we could actually just copy this and place that inside our loop down here. And have this here and add the markup rows to the display menu. But I think I also want to introduce a new command, this is a very, very old command. It's called printf. Let's have a look at how that works also before we do anything else. Printf, it is just like echo, it prints to standard output. So if I would just do a printf and then a string here, for example, the word string, the word string. Now it prints the word string here. One important difference is that printf doesn't append a line break to the end of the string or what it prints by default. You have to do that manually. But now it works just like an echo here. But this is the real power with printf is that this it takes any number of arguments, and the first argument is called the format string, and it is normally put inside single quotes, and the format string tells how to format the rest of the arguments. So let's say we have one string here. That's the second argument, and the third argument is hello. The format string, it looks like this. You use percentage and s, that means string. So this will be equal to the first string here. And then we can do something like a couple of dashes here, or equal signs, or whatever, and then put another string. And this will translate to the first string in the argument list, and this will be the second string. So now it looks like this instead. One string, and we get these equal signs and hello, but no new line. But we can just add that to the format string like this. And now we get this. It's very, very powerful for printf, and you can do a lot of things with it. It's very good handling numbers with printf. You can change the precision of floating point numbers, and you can format date and stuff like that. But we will not look into numbers at all here now, but I just want to show you one trick really quickly because it's so nice. Let's change the order here, so we have hello as the first string instead. In between the s and the percentage sign you can enter a number, let's say 25 here. If I run this now, it looks like this. Now the first string field here is 25 characters long. And the content of the field is by default aligned to the right, and the rest of the field is padded here with spaces. And then we have the space, and then the second field, and then a new line. If you wanted this to be aligned to the left but still have 25 character long field, then you do this. And this is a very, very nice way to create like xero tables for your terminal outputs and stuff. I think I use it with i3 viz, is it p? Yeah, here I use printf to format this so I get like a table view more or less. So it's very, very good to know a little bit about this printf, how it works, and it's a great little command. And it's good also when you have like this type of stuff that you want to print, which is kind of a complicated string. And of course, most of the time you will use it inside loops. We'll add the new line character here, and I will replace this hello world with $s. Now it looks like this, and now hello is put here in place of the $s, because in our loop now we can actually copy this and move down to the function instead. We'll remove these and uncomment these guys, and then go down to the display menu part. And add our new printf here, remove these two stupid strings and replace them with these two strings instead. So now these, yeah, you get it. If we run the command now, we get this. We get each element in a new row, but I haven't added the markup-rows option here, so rofi doesn't parse this Pango markup, but now we get what we want. Perfect. Okay, that's how you can create different colors, and you could also change the font for this if you want to do and other things. And as I said, I will link in the show notes if I can find the documentation for this Pango markup thing. Now we want to add this ability to edit, not just launch but also edit the commands, and I'm thinking that I would like to be able to execute keybindings menu here with the E flag, meaning edit mode. Let's add a getopts here to our main function. I have prepared this getopts here to save us some time. It looks like this. It looks for an option E option. If it finds an E option, then it will set a variable called mode to edit. We could actually add a default value to this mode and call that launch in case we would add more modes later in the future. Warning, it appears unused. Yeah, I know that. And then we parse the config and we execute this display menu. And both the edit menu and the display menu, they will look almost identical. So I'm thinking that we can use the same function but pass this mode variable to this function as an argument, and then do different small changes depending on which mode we are using. So yeah, we just do this here. We add mode here as an argument. Can put it in quotes just to be good boys. Now it will execute display menu with the argument mode. Let's go down to mode display menu again. Just to see that this works, we can, instead of echoing the result here when we select something, we echo $1, which should be the argument, either launch or edit. So if I run this now without the E option, I select something, it prints launch because that was the $1, the mode, the argument we passed in here. If I run it with the E option, will we get edit? We still get launch. And this is because in this getopts here, we look for arguments, and if the argument E exists, then it sets the mode to edit. But the thing is, now we are inside the main function here, and the main function have no arguments when we execute that from the bottom of our script here. But our script itself have this E option as an argument. So all we need to do is pass all arguments that are passed to the script. We pass those arguments to our main function, and we can write it like this. You could, this is the best way to and safest way to write it. But we could remove both the quotes and the curly braces, and it would work with single word options like this. And now if we run this with the E option, select something, we get edit, meaning that it worked. And now let's move this to the top, and we can store this in a variable called mode. I wonder, let's do it like this anyways. We might actually have access to this mode variable still in our display menu here, since we are not using subshells or anything, but this is bulletproof doing it this way. Okay, so when in edit mode, we need a different way. We can't have like terminal output to determine which mode we are in. Instead, we could add a prompt here to our rofi. We do that with the P option and then prompt, just a string, whatever. You can write whatever here. Prompt whatever. Now if I execute it, now we get this prompt here, prompt whatever. But instead of writing prompt whatever, because that's really stupid, we could add a variable here, prompt string, and then we set this prompt string to depending on the mode. We do this for now. If mode is equal to edit, then mode string, no, prompt string is equal to edit line or something. Else prompt string is, oops. Prompt string is equal to launch command. Now if I execute it with the E option, it says edit line. I select something, we get this. If I execute it without, now we get a different prompt, but it's still the same menu. Good, good, good. And then we want to do different things here. If we are in launch mode, then we eval this real command. But if we are in edit mode, we want to do something else. So again here we can, maybe it's better, maybe I should have done that here too, because right now I don't really have any more modes planned, but you never know, and then it's better to use ifs or a case clause here. We can use case again. I think that's cleaner than if else, but I don't like any of them really. I think it's ugly format, this case and esac, it's just stupid. Mode, if mode is edit, we do some things here. If mode is launch, we do something else, and what we do when it's launch is this. We could actually do this, since it's just one command. But edit, that will be a bit more advanced than just executing this command. We could copy this to start with, because the thing we're gonna operate on now, here real command, I don't know, we can recap really quickly about that. When we parse the output, we added this real command. That was in case it was an internal command, we prefixed it with i3 message. Otherwise it is the same command as we have in the config file. Then we also stored this key, original, which is the full line before we expand the variables and stuff. And that is the line that we want to modify and store, and that is what we're going to use now in our edit menu thing here. So let's just print this for now. Original. Run this with the E flag, or we can run it without, just to see the difference. I select something, it prints the command, I run it with the E flag, I select the same item, but now we get the actual line inside the config. And this white space here, that is actually from my config, because I indent all my lines in i3 here. I just think it looks good, but I think I will remove that soon. Whatever. But this is what we're gonna work on, and we can save this in a variable. We can call it old line is equal to the original line here. Then I'm thinking that we can look quickly at my other script here. This is how it looks like when I select and edit a line here. I get that line in a rofi menu, so I can edit the line directly in rofi. And I think I want the same thing here. We can do that by just doing a rofi d menu, And then there is one option in rofi that's called filter. And filter, that is if you want to have a pre-filled filter text, meaning the input text that you have in rofi. So here we can actually add this old line here as the filter. And see what happens now. If I select something, we have edit line here. I select this one again, and now it prints this line. But you can see it's it doesn't really fit the entry box. It is not wider than this, so it is like condensed, or what you say, whatever. We can look here in my rofi theme file. Here is the entry part of my theme, and it has a fixed width of 14 em. Let's copy this to our script. Can paste it here. There is a really nice little option in rofi that's called theme string, and here you can override parts of your theme temporarily. Only when you launch rofi with this command you can override the theme. Yeah, you get it, and it's not harder than this. And if you read here quickly, you can add this option multiple times. You can really tweak your theme from the command line without actually modifying the theme file itself. So rofi theme string, and then we add this entry here. I uncomment it again. We can remove this expand. That also works, but let's modify the width instead here. And let's make it 100%. And we add this here, and this here. And now we should get a nice 100% wide. Now it's actually 100%, so it's all the way here, and that's also why we don't see this prompt part of the menu either. And I actually like it like this, because now it's more obvious that it's white space at the beginning of the line and stuff. But if you wanted to, you could like have a different width, a fixed width here or something. It's all depends on your rofi theme and stuff like that. And then if I change this line here, we can do i3 run. I should exit my new spot. Sorry for that. Move up here, for example, and then enter. Then it prints this new line that or the modified line that I entered. So I guess you have already guessed it, maybe, that we store this in a variable, and we call that variable new line. It's getting a bit long. Whatever, let's just, whoops. You see, I hate long lines. At least long code lines. Okay. What we're gonna do now is yet again parse the i3 config with this get config command, and we will print each line of the config as it is. Just print $0, except if $0 is equal to old line, then instead we print new line. Maybe we should also add this also. If we hit escape, then new line here, it will be empty, and then we should exit the script so we don't accidentally remove lines from the config. So if new line is empty, exit. Otherwise, we will parse the config again, as I said, i3 message -t get config, pipe it to awk, and now inside awk we need to have access to this old line and new line variables. So the best way is to create variables here on the command before the awk script itself, and then you use the -v option and the name of the variable inside you want inside awk. So that's called old line, it can be called ol, and the content will be old line. And we also create a variable for a new line that we call nl, and the content will of course be new line. And then we just do this. Whatever. Here we do an if $0, or maybe we should do this first. Print $0. This would just print the whole. This would be the same thing as running this without the awk statement. But we only want to do this if old line is not equal to $0. Then we print $0. Then it's not the yeah, whatever. We do this if OL is equal to $0. That means that the current line is the same as the line that we just modified. Then we print new line, else print I think we actually can remove these, else we just print $0. I don't know. It's beautiful enough. It's AWK. It's punk rock. Let's do this also. There. So this simple thing will print the whole thing here now. Yeah, let's do this. We select the same thing again. We change this to whatever. Now it prints the whole config file here, and if we go, it's probably one of the first, or it is one of the first key bindings here, so I have to scroll up a whole lot. But here we should see it. Here super X is whatever. And now all we need to do is pipe or redirect this to the actual config file and reload i3, and then we would immediately have a new edited line in the config file. And we do this by just redirecting this to our config file. In my case, it's located in this location. This is like the standard default location. We could actually store this in a variable. Let's do that. i3 config file is equal to this. Copy this, or we copy it. And then we do this and this. We can add that here. There. So this should actually work. This would replace my current config file, because this single redirect thing, it just overwrites this file, or create it if it doesn't exist. But right now the script isn't really portable, because sometimes i3 installs the config here in the home folder .i3/config, and some users might have the config file at a totally different place, and you can execute i3 with the C option and have use a config file from anywhere. So the best thing would be if there was a way to find out where the current used config file is stored, and of course there is a way to do that. I have it already prepared here. Looks like this. We use i3 with the moreversion option, which is, I don't know why this, I had to search to find this. If you run i3 with the help option here, you get some information about i3, really short here, which kind of options you got to launch it. But you see this more option or more version, it's not included here. But if you run i3 with this secret option, then you get this output, and here we can see the path to the currently used config file, and with just a simple awk we can isolate this value and use that. Now I have kind of a dirt hack to do this. I parse this to awk, and I see if the first field is equal to loaded, which it is here. If it is, then I just print the fourth field, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fourth field. But if this path for some odd reason contains a space, then it wouldn't work. It would actually break. So I don't know if I should take the time now. I don't think so, but I will in the polished version to do this in a different way, a little bit more advanced awk here to print this config file. But this is good enough. And now, at least for now, for this video, for this demo, and probably for you too. But if you have your config file for some reason in a path that contains a space, then this will not work. I'm just saying. Okay. So this should be good enough here now. All we need to do now is reload i3 message reload. We can test this now. Let's use something stupid. Subswap. I never use this command anymore. It's super shift control and S to execute this command, subswap. Select this, and then we change this to something else. Let's do i3 move up. Then I hit enter. And the success true here, that is our i3 reload here, meaning that it is that it worked. Now I actually don't remember what the key was. Super. We should actually see it here. Yeah, here it is now. And now we can see it in the menu. It's a different command here, and it's super shift control S. So if I execute this now with the key binding, super shift control S, it executed 4 menu up here. I can execute it again to, yeah, it works just like move upwards. If we would change this command to something else, let's just take another direction, right. Hit enter, and now super control shift S. Now it should move the window to the right instead. And it works immediately. You see, this is a really convenient way to edit the config file. And I think this is good for this video. The last thing I would like to add is the ability to add completely new lines, not just edit, because I have that in my dev version here. I have a new field here first. If I select that, then I just get a list of the sections in my i3 config. I can select a section, and then I can just add any line here. I could declare a variable, a key binding, a window rule, whatever, or write a comment like I'm doing now. Swim in the ocean of love. If I look at the config file here now, we can see the misc section here. It have the string swim in the ocean of love. But there is something weird with this, with my other script. Because right now, the script that we have been working on in this video is much better than the one that I'm using myself. So I actually think I will release this very soon, or maybe we will make it good enough in the last episode of this video. Maybe I take some time and modify this a bit. It will just be a couple of commands here to trim this in a different way. But that's what we're going to do in the last video. The ability to store the sections and change which section we want, and we also will add a way to have different section notations. I have this way, but I want to make it portable and usable for everyone, so you can have any kind of way to defining a section. It has nothing to do with Sublime, how you define the sections, but lastly, also I haven't experimented with it myself yet, but I would like to add like a Dunst pop-up thing here that will display all the variables and maybe the original line when you're editing, give you some helpers so it's easier to create new keys and stuff when you edit or create a new line. But that's the next video. Maybe I will squeeze in a little video about Dunst itself in between there. We'll see. I think I do. But I say thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. A really great day. Bye bye.